It is the beginning of Damn Okay, presented by Under Armour.
Damn. I'm okay. Damn. I'm okay. Yeah, no, I mean, yes. I'm okay. Illegal gambleizing. Oh, baby. I am Chris Simms. I'm okay. Damn. Okay.
Damn okay. We start with the 49ers comeback win over the Rams in overtime, 27-24. Aladdin Bust You wants to give the damn okay to your boy Kyle.
Yeah.
Says a lot of Niner faithful wanted him fired earlier this season, but what he's been able to do since week 10 versus the Rams is incredible, and he deserves credit.
He does deserve credit. He's one of the best coaches in football. The offensive game planning of what they do on that side of the ball is up there with anybody in this sport. It is. Jimmy Garoppolo's a good quarterback. He's nothing special. All right? I mean, he's good. He played great in some big moments yesterday. I understand that. He also did some dumb Jimmy Garoppolo stuff too, which is why they were down 17-0 or early in the game, or had a chance to maybe even, make that game a little different in the fourth quarter, throwing the interception down the middle to Jalen Ramsey. So it's not like they have an offense that's as dangerous as anybody in football, but nobody would classify their quarterback as one of the more dangerous quarterbacks in football. Nobody would classify their quarterback as a top 10 quarterback in football. It's one of the only offenses in the sport where we go, that's dangerous, and nobody even talks about the quarterback. All right? So then who's the next guy? It's the coach. Of course it is. He makes it all happen. He's special. The game was awesome to watch. You could tell the Rams came out pissed off. What the you 49ers? We're not going to lose to you today. It's been 5 in a row, and you could tell the energy was on their side. They were out hitting the 49ers early on in the football game. Of course, the 49ers made a few mistakes too. The Rams had the good punt return, right? We had the interception by Garoppolo, right? That was a Garoppolo interception, right? That led to the touchdown that goes up 17-0. I'm pretty sure, right? That was Taylor Rapp down the middle. That was that interception, right? All right, I know. I got too many plays in my head.
Got so many plays.
But either way, you got through that point, and you're going, wow. Man, can the 49ers get anything going? And to me, it was this play. It was I think it was a 31-yard completion to Ayuk down the middle, to go for the field goal drive, 17-3, right before the half, and the game never was the same. It was never the same. It was like the 49ers got a little momentum. They went into the halftime and went hey, we took their best shot, and screw them. We could play with them. And they came out and really dominated the second half of the football game from that point on. They really did. Controlled the game, and you felt like, oh, wow, are the Rams going to be able to hang on here? And then, of course, they had the clutch drive to score the touchdown. He went, wow, okay, that might do it. That might do it. But Jimmy G, being clutch himself, really with an awesome drive at the end to go down there and tie the football game.
Yeah, Jimmy G did have that drive at the end of the game. But to your point, it was a lot of the running game up to that point.
Yeah.
The touchdown that made it 17-17. That drive went 84 yards. It was run, 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 run. And then Deebo Samuel, 24-yard touchdown pass
on the toss sweep pass,
Yeah.
right? So that's what I'm saying. Again, that's Shanahan. That is Shanahan. I'm not trying to take away from Jimmy Garoppolo or anything, but he is magical, and the fact that yes, he puts your team and your scheme in binds. And I felt like he came out in the second half and realized some things like, hey, what coaches do, and the really good ones, they go in at halftime, they realize they realize how they've been played. Wait, every time I play this personnel, oh, okay, they start to match things up. Wait, when I play this formation or this personnel, oh, wait, they're playing this defense. Oh, okay, so I got to think about going to these plays then. All right, and they made all the proper adjustments to where they just felt like when they came out in the second half, he figured out all right, they're playing me like this. Here we go. I'm going to go to these 3 or 4 run plays that I know are going to gash it. And it looked like what we've seen from the 49ers. Mm-hmm. 49ers are a tough matchup for the Rams. They're bigger than the Rams, not a lot bigger, but with the size advantage, they're one of the few teams in football that can match up to the speed of the Rams. And that's where the Rams lose their advantage because they go, hey, we play teams that are bigger than us a lot, but we're usually so much faster than them we can create chaos. The 49ers, little bit bigger, but are like, we can move too. You're not like overwhelming us with Aaron Donald shooting a gap here and Leonard Floyd and all of that. Like that doesn't disrupt them as much as other teams. And they're built in a way that really gives the Rams some issues.
And the 49ers did it without Trent Williams in this game.
That
to
to me,
so that was impressive.
I was expecting him to play. I knew he was injured all last week and was on the injury report. I did not know he was officially out until we sat down and the game started. I went, wait, Trent Williams is not playing? Like, that made me think differently at first. But again, Shanahan, appropriate game planning and finding the right run plays that fit his offensive linemen, not asking them to do too much, if it's just backup in there, whatever it may be. Just a gutsy effort there by the 49ers. 49ers are tough, and the 49ers can go to the Super Bowl, and the 49ers can win the Super Bowl. I'm just telling you right now, they are capable of winning the Super Bowl this year. What did we learn again here this weekend? There's no great team in the NFL. None. I mean, none. There is not a great team in football. We saw the number one team in the AFC have something to play for, and they were biting their nails against the Houston Texans. We saw the Chiefs, who had something to play for, against the nothing Denver Broncos, and they were getting controlled in the fourth quarter, and you're going, oh, shit, they're in trouble. The league it's the weirdest year I can ever remember. And you know me, I'm not the type that like comes out and like I'm the one that goes like, it's going to be one of these teams that's going to win the Super Bowl. Like it's hard to tell right now who the hell's going to win the Super Bowl or who's clearly better than the other. It's very strange that way.
It's going to be a wacky postseason run here. Do we have the stats? One final point here to make. Do we have the stats first half versus second half for the 49ers here? Because they exploded just 3 points in the first half and then 24 in the second half. It's the largest comeback in the Kyle Shanahan era, and it's the largest blown lead in the Sean McVay era. First time he's given up a halftime lead in his career.
Right, he was like something like undefeated going into the lead, going into halftime with a lead. Right,
he had the second longest streak in NFL history. And one point I wanted to make is that what I thought, and I don't want to get in, and we've already done it kind of with Brandon Staley, the second guessing of coaches and going for two and going for fourth down. I mean, that's kind of getting a little stale. But I did think there was a painfully conservative call by Sean McVay late in this one.
Yeah, I think this is worth talking about.
Third and 7.
Yes, right.
A
Good
minute
job
40
by you bringing
left.
this
A
back
minute
up.
40 left.
No doubt. No doubt.
You run the ball.
Yes.
You run the ball there to make the 49ers burn their
they
final
have one timeout left.
Yeah.
Right, exactly right. I'm glad you went here with this. I would have forgot about this. I did look at this moment as one of the few, and I'm a big believer in McVay's ability to manage football games. I mean, come on. He won all those games all these years with Jared Goff at quarterback, managing and not doing anything stupid. Wait, we're not going to do this. But you're in that moment, right? And it is 24-17, right? They got the lead at that point.
Yep.
This is before they punted everybody. Yeah,
Yep.
Duh, obviously. You got Matthew Stafford for this reason right here. You do. Now, I know you got faith in your defense, and you're also thinking, man, it's Jimmy G, and he's been shaky already. Can they really go the whole field to do that? Go ahead. What do you want to say?
But if you have faith in your defense,
I know.
then you're like, all right, does it matter if they have one timeout or zero timeouts?
It doesn't matter. That's the point. That's the point. And you're exactly right. To me, that's a moment where you go, give them their extra timeout. We're going to go for the win of the football game right here. And I was a little surprised by that. I was. Now, the other aspect he could also be thinking is, I don't trust my own quarterback either, which I think could be a legitimate thing. I mean, again, we saw, interception at the end of the game. All right. You can live with that, even though you go, like, if you throw it out there, he's got the guy beat. He's running by him. He underthrew it by 15 yards. I don't know what he was trying to do there, So I maybe that plays into it. And the fact of, like, the other issue with the Rams is their offensive line is just not great. It's just not a real good offensive line. You saw yesterday. I mean, the 49ers in the second half just absolutely steamrolled their offensive line. There was no run game to talk about. Stafford, when he was throwing the ball, you felt like, oh, okay, he just got that off. Whoa, good play by him. He just got that off. That was close. So those are some issues the Rams have, certainly. But the 49ers, even though a worse record than the Rams, I think are built better to make a little bit of a run here in the playoffs than the Rams. The Rams might win one or two. Don't get me wrong. I guess I don't look at them as quite the threat to win the Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl as I look at the 49ers too.
Yeah, 49ers and Cowboys in the first round. We got the Cardinals and the Rams in the first round as well. The New Orleans Saints for a second looked like they might be playoff bound. Because if they were scoreboard watching, the 49ers, they were down, and the Saints were leading, I think, all that game against the Atlanta Falcons. They do win 30-20, but because of the 49ers comeback win, the Saints are out of it. But we got to give props to our damn okay Alvin Kamara. He had a career-high 30 carries in this game, a season-high 146 yards. And kudos to Sean Payton as well. 9-8 season in a season where you lose your quarterback. Taysom Hill has injuries. He leaves this game.
Right.
With Kamara and Payton, I think those two have buoyed this organization. They're strong elsewhere. They have strong lines, good defensively.
Yeah.
But those two specifically seem like they have done a lot to put this organization where they are.
Definitely. We got to give got to give Sean Payton a lot of credit. He's one of the best coaches in football. Kamara, of course, we know is one of the best backs in the game. And really, hey, him being hurt for that 3 or 4 game stretch was really what hurt their football team ultimately, because I think they have a lot of things that are playoff quality about their team. They're another team. Again, I don't know if they could have got to the Super Bowl like I'm talking about the 49ers, but could they have upset somebody wild card weekend and gone into divisional round weekend? Absolutely. Now, it would depend on Taysom Hill's health a little bit, but that game yesterday, I know it looked like the Falcons hung around for a little bit, but I never got the feel that they were like in the same class. The Saints were physically moving them around on the offensive side of the ball. Matt Ryan and company, when the game was competitive, they were having a hard time doing anything moving the football. He made a few plays moving and throwing in the pocket, but that's about it. I mean, this was a Saints game through and through. Even missed a field goal earlier on in the football game, too. I mean, I give them a lot of credit. And between that run game, that O-line, D-line, their defense in general, yeah, they could have been a pain in the butt for somebody in that first round. Shame they didn't make it, but we'll see them next year.
And we'll be having all the same talks about who's the future quarterback of that franchise.
Yeah,
I'm sure,
I think that's going to be a real conversation. I mean, we know Taysom Hill's going to be there, but
Liz Frank injury was what the reports were.
Is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
Oh man, so he really he had the plantar fasciitis issue with the foot, and now Liz Frank. Liz Frank is a really pain in the butt. I mean, that's something that's going to deal. He's going to have to deal with all off season, and really probably just getting back to close to 100% when training camp's coming around. So, yes, but I would expect them to be in the market for some type of quarterback this year, some shape, way, or form. They're going to get somebody down there.
You know who else could be in the market for a quarterback?
Who's that?
The Seattle Seahawks. And if this was the end for Russell Wilson with Seattle, he goes out with a victory.
Yeah.
38-30 over the Arizona Cardinals in a really entertaining game. A game that was important for Arizona because they could have won the division.
They could have won the division and had a home playoff game.
If they just beat
Seattle, right.
Which they didn't do.
Nope.
And they've been a little up and down here the last second half of the season.
Ooh, have they?
And it showed up again in this game. What was your big takeaway from this game?
Well, I think the big thing is, though, all the big plays the Seahawks offense made, I kept looking, going home, wow. I mean, there goes another big pass. There goes Rashad Penny ripping off 15 or 20 yards. There goes another big pass. There goes Rashad Penny for 10 yards. I was a little surprised by that. I was. And I think, I couple that with, I have my little concerns as I broke down. We did it on Wednesday. The Cardinals' offense, there's aspects to like, but you saw yesterday what are some of the issues. It's just like it's 3 yards in the cloud of dust, but it's some screens and it's a run up the middle for 3 and 4 yards. They're having a hard time getting any explosive plays on the offensive side of the ball. That would be my big thing. Even in the Cowboy game last week, I know they had the one big pass to Christian Kirk. They maybe had one other big pass to Wesley. But it's few and far between for the amount of talent they have on their team. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Man, does it seem like it's hard work for them to move the ball down the field. I guess that's what I look at more than anything right now. And I don't know if it's sustainable in the playoffs to go in and think like, we're going to screen the Rams to death and run for 4 yards to death and then throw a screen again to death and then run for 4 yards to death and hope you play man-to-man and hope we get Christian Kirk on a one-on-one so we could throw a ball down the field. That's what I worry a little bit about with the Cardinals. There's not enough of a systematic breakdown of the other team's defense enough. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. To where they pick them apart with their system, their plays. To me, they're picking them apart with what I would call as bullshit plays, is what I call it. Here's a screen for 4. Here's a screen for 8. They got a million different screens. Here's a short pass for 4. That's all good. That's good, but I just don't know if that's realistic. Again, 19 plays, 66-yard drive to go on a field goal. That's good. That's just I don't think that's going to get you where you want to go in the playoffs. That's what I'm worried about with them, and I'm shocked at their defense, and I'd like to see this because this is where I've gotten to their big people conversation on the defensive side of the ball. They got big people. They're not great. They don't really want to be big on defense. They want to be fast and move around and do crazy stuff. And it just seemed like they got creased a few times in the run game yesterday, which I need to break down exactly to see what happened.
Opposite story for the Seahawks, D. You mentioned the troubles they gave Arizona in this game. Diogo Mendez says, without Bobby Wagner, Jamal Adams, and his replacement losing Quandre Diggs during the game, they killed Arizona's high-flying offense. Without the 2 turnovers, they held them to just 16 points. And so, Carlos Dunlap was good, hit a couple sacks.
Yep.
Poona Ford had a sack and a half. Kerry Hyder had a sack. And so Seahawks defense stepped up in this game.
Seahawks defense, this is like 3 years in a row where you just go, what is the issue that they have to start the first 5 or 6 weeks as like the worst defense we've ever seen in the history of football?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the year, we start to go, they're a tough unit. It's not, nobody can seem to move the ball on them or make plays. They got to figure out what that is. Now, I'll give them credit like I do a Tomlin or a Shanahan. They got a bunch of just crazy psychos on their team. That's where they're good. They don't know anything else other than compete, play hard. I'm on the football field, so I might as well knock your head off.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way they are, and that's why they never seem to go down without a fight. I don't know if that's Russell Wilson's last game. I'm going to bet it is in Seattle. I am, but way to go out on a positive note for Big Russ and the passing game, and that was a good win for them to take the nasty taste of the season out of their mouth.
Good win for them. Got some older players on that offensive side of the ball, still able to do some things, as
Cardinals.
is the case for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They beat the Carolina Panthers their last game, 41-17 the final. Our damn okay. We're going to give it to Rob Gronkowski. He needed 7 catches, 85 yards to get a $500,000 bonus for each.
Oh, my gosh. How pissed off was Antonio Brown watching that happen yesterday?
But you know what? It happened last year for Antonio, so I don't know. Why would
okay.
right?
Yeah, that was last year. He's looking at this year going, wait, I have hundreds of $1,000s.
I shouldn't have taken my shirt off and walked out of New York.
I don't care what anybody says. I still believe that's I know enough to know that was definitely part of the equation. I know he was hurt, but he was about. And as I told Pete as I was watching that game on film last week, he was mad. There was some plays where he was open, and he was mad he didn't get the ball. I definitely think that played in that whole equation there. And then the fact that he railed on, Gronk got this contract because he's Brady's boy, and then they go out and make sure Gronk gets the incentives. I almost felt like it was a personal, like, hey, you, Antonio.
Well,
there you go.
Yeah, and then Tom Brady, that was his last play. He came out, the one last play was to get Gronk that 7th catch. He finished with 137 yards, his most receiving yards in a game since 2017. It's going to be interesting for this Buccaneers team because, no Goodwin, Godwin.
Yep.
No,
he's good or God.
Yeah, right. Cyril Grayson, the guy that we're like, all right, maybe he can step up. He left this game with
hamstring
a hamstring
is that
injury.
What it was? Yeah.
Mike Evans played in this game, but he's been a little dinged up at times. So
right.
You don't have all the weapons 100% like you did last year for the Bucs.
No, it's hard to gauge them right now. They're not playing great football, but it is because of the injuries. It makes you think differently about them. I still would sit here and go, listen, if the Bucs were 100% healthy, I'd go, they're going to the Super Bowl. They're going to the Super Bowl, or maybe, there's 1 or 2 teams out there that can mess with them. They're still the most talented team in the sport when healthy. It's just, when are they going to be healthy? I don't know. Right now, hey, that game was 41-17 is very misleading. Very misleading. The Panthers moved the ball on the Bucs at times yesterday. They early on in the game, Brady and company, it wasn't like a offensive machine. It was a little bit, again, of like Brady being a little jumpy in the pocket. They couldn't get things going. They kind of piled it on late in the football game. They really, I tried to say this during the highlight show last night. Look, it's 24-17. In the early fourth quarter. It wasn't like this was like, oh, man, they dominated throughout. I always thought they were going to win the football game, but it didn't look great, I guess, on their end. And they got some fighting to do right now. They are. They're not exactly themselves. There's enough injuries on both sides of the ball that make you concerned about Tampa Bay to where you go, I don't know if they can overcome it.
If Brady can somehow get another Super Bowl out of this team that's a bit hobbled, Chris might finally put him in his top 20 quarterbacks of
funny.
next year.
You're funny. It is. It's crazy, though. You think about they had the Carolina game a few weeks ago, 32-6, which, again, was a good showing, but I would say even that score is misleading. We're outplayed by the Jets. And then yesterday, we're in a game where, yeah, they were the better team on the field, but certainly the Panthers were hanging in there with them and weren't outclassed. And I do think that's because of the injuries and some of the issues they got there.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.